Welcome to the DIMS podcast. My name is Vivek. I'm the managing director here at DIMS. And today we are speaking to Kayla. Hi, Kayla. Welcome.
Hi, how
So
are how are you?
good. So, Kayla, tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do now, and then we'll talk about the past.
My name is Kayla Herney. I'm 31 years old and I am a mom. I wait tables and tend bar at a Buffalo Wild Wings. I have two small boys and married. Just living my life day to day, I guess now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, so I believe Layla talked about the fact that you once were part of her program
Yes.
and you were a participant in the treatment court. So let's go back prior to that. Uh,
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about what led you to be in this position, and then how did you hear about treatment courts? Who told you about this?
Right. Well, I guess I was an addict for a long time. I struggled with addiction from age 16, maybe even younger than that. And it was probably about 22, I think, when I got in trouble.
So you had
And
been using substances from almost about 8 years or so.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, maybe even a little more than that. I was a consistent user of multiple substances. I really struggled with just a history of losing a parent, and I just had a hard upbringing and whatnot. So drugs were kind of an outlet for me. But when I got in trouble, what brought me to treatment court was they knew that I was smart, that I was just upset and unhappy with my circumstances.
Okay.
So they felt that treatment court was a good opportunity to keep me in the world, working,
Mm-hmm.
using all my skills I have, and just getting new tools to function in society as a better human, not so much just an addict that didn't know how to handle emotions or feelings very well. So it was presented to me in jail actually as an option rather than just going to sit somewhere, which I thought was a great opportunity to, of course, no one wants to be away. So it was a good opportunity to be in the world and learn to be a person and get the support I needed because I didn't have that. And I think treatment court sounded like it was a great opportunity to have support.
So, Kayla, someone in the court explain to you what treatment courts are, why they're beneficial for you, why you seem to be a good candidate.
Yes.
And at that point, you think you had enough information to take a judgment call and say, well, this sounds so much better than going back to jail or prison or something like that.
Right. I think at the time I didn't realize the magnitude of what this program was going to do for me in the
Okay.
moment. I didn't realize how much of a commitment it was and how amazing it is. I just thought of it as an opportunity to not be in a facility. But I was well informed. Yeah, I was told that I would have to do all of these things and that based on my personality and my charges and my
Hmm.
history, that I was a good candidate. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell us about, you said how big of a commitment treatment courts are.
Yeah.
Can you, looking back, what do you now know? What are the commitments that someone in your position all those years ago would have not guessed? Like, when
Would
we talk about commitments, what are we talking about here?
You have to want to be clean. That's a big thing because treatment court, you have to wake up, eat, breathe, live, recovery. I think you have to go to your meetings. You have to UA consistently. You have to go to, they put me in emotional therapy because that was something I struggled with. So I feel like I had appointments every single day. I had UAs 5 days a week. I still had a job. I had a small child. I had so much going on. And I think in the moment, like I said, I felt like it was just an out to not be in a facility. But I realize now that it was a large commitment. But it's the best thing I've ever decided to do. It just was a bigger load than I expected when I agreed, I think.
Do you feel that participants coming into the treatment program, in phase one, realizing how much of a commitment it is, tend to then say, you know what, I'm already out. I don't have to do this. Let me drop out and
But,
don't realize the consequences of it?
I think so. I think that's why when I said, you have to want to be clean for this program to work. Because I know when I first got into it, I pushed a lot of boundaries and I truly pushed myself to a point where I almost wasn't allowed to stay because I didn't understand the magnitude of what I was dealing with and how serious this program is and how much they are invested in your success. So, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it. People I could see wanting to run when it's hard. That definitely is a possibility I could see.
Got it. How important would you say in your recovery has been the position of a court coordinator such as Layla and other court coordinators?
I feel like the court coordinator is one of the most important people in the program. I mean, you have your team, right? You have all the other advocates in the team, but I feel like I dealt with Layla directly and consistently the whole time, and I had her cell phone number. Excuse me, if I was struggling with stuff, I could just text Layla, and like she was always there. And even after graduation, I text her sometimes, and she's always there. And I think having that type of person is so important because addicts are people that need support. You need support to get through it.
Right.
And I feel like a coordinator, being a support person, is so important. I really do. Yeah.
When you say type of person, I just want to dive into this a little bit. Can you tell us about, if you going now, you have so much experience with treatment court, you've been a participant, right? and
Yeah.
and you have more experience than most people. If you were looking to hire a treatment court coordinator, sorry, if you were
Yes.
looking to hire a treatment court coordinator and you talked about the type, what would the qualities of a person, what kind of qualities should the person have to be a treatment court provider?
Empathy. A lot of empathy. I think understanding, patience, and an ability to not take things too personally, I think, is a big thing. And that's one thing Layla's phenomenal at because addicts make mistakes. That's why they're addicts. Like they think, oh, I could do this. And all of a sudden they've made a huge mistake. And it's not, it's just part of the process.
Got it.
And not taking it too personally, thinking it's about them. It's more just about the process they're going through. I'm not
Got
getting
it.
offended.
Do you feel that treatment court success, or rather, the participant's success in treatment court is somewhat related to the court coordinator and all of the qualities that you just mentioned?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like if you feel like you have someone there for you who's advocating for you or even just supports you, it gives you a reason. If you have nobody else in your support system, at least if you have that one coordinator who's really fighting for you, it'll make you want to try a little more. I think it makes a big difference.
Got it. Perfect. So tell us about your journey through treatment court. Were there instances where you were like, I'm done? Or, yeah, can you talk a little bit
Yeah,
about that?
absolutely, absolutely. I know that my treatment court uh, time was longer than most.
Okay.
Um, I started off thinking that I could just manipulate the system. That's the addict brain, I guess. And so I
Right.
ended up completing up to phase 2, and then they sent me to a treatment center in between, in term, where then I'd come back and start treatment court again once I completed I think it was 60 days of treatment.
Okay. So
Um,
you came back to the same phase at the same point and started back up
So
again?
that they had me start over at phase 1 when I returned.
Okay. Got it.
Yep. So they sent me to a boot camp treatment facility. So it was more of a military style, and I went there, and then I came back after I did succeeded there. Then I came back and did it all over, and I flew through the program. I think Layla and the team realized that I just needed a little extra push to realize that I need to try harder, and I needed to realize that this isn't a game, it's my life, and I could take it more seriously. But once I was a little upset, but at the time I realized now that it's what I needed, and I went through that. Once I finished it, it went so well, and now I've discharged by supervision. I'm at life's completely different. I think it's all because of this program. Absolutely.
So what was in the boot camp that you say that basically turned things around for you, that when you came back you said you flew through the program without any issues?
Yeah, not one issue after that. And I think it's because that program was really mentally challenging. It was very mental. And I think that was what they said with me since the beginning. They're like, you're smart. And you keep trying to manipulate things in that state of
Got it.
mind that you're in. So they said, we just need to kind of rewire your mind. It wasn't about addiction. It was more about
Okay.
manipulative behaviors. So they just kind of rewired my brain a little bit and helped me realize that that's not how you treat people. That's not how you live life. And then I came back and it was a lot easier.
Got it. So after you have graduated, and you had your ceremony, did you feel like relapsing since then or anything of that sort, or do you feel pretty good about it now, and that 60-day period that you did initially was all that you really needed?
I think that I did struggle when I got out of the program just because you have that independence. I was still on supervision, which does help because I came out and I was still being supervised. So that helped. But then when I finished that, that's when I think the real challenges come in and you have to dip into those tools you were given. Because when you're not under someone's thumb, that's when I struggled. And I still, and I mean, everyone has moments. I struggled for a little bit. And that's another reason when I tapped into Layla and she was right there with me and I made it through it. And now no issues with relapse or anything at this point.
Got it. So you feel that even if participants going through the the 2 year period, give or take a few, they still struggle post graduation if given that independence. The behavior modification is not 100% complete, and having that support after graduation definitely helps maintain sobriety.
Oh yeah, you need to always have that. I feel like I found a lifelong friend in Layla, in the sense that she's just always supportive. And I think that addiction doesn't go away. It's something in your brain that you're always going to be kind of wired. It's going to be in there somewhere.
Right.
And I think that just always having that person to dip into as that support helps remind you, no, no, we don't need to do that again. You just have to find something else, do something different. You know what I mean? Change
Right.
up your life or whatever it may be.
Okay, and you sort of recognize these trigger points now,
Yeah.
as so that you know when you're about to get triggered or you're headed in that path, that you can retract from there before you get to that spot.
Oh yeah, I'm very good at now. I was actually just talking to Layla about this, like people, places, and things. Certain things that I know make me uncomfortable, I don't even give myself a chance to get near them. I'm like,
Okay,
I'm good. Yeah, those tools are in there and they're good, and I use them. And I
got
think
it.
it's just been growing up and maturing a bit has helped me realize that.
At what point after your graduation did you feel that I'm good and that these people, places, and things, and I realized that I can identify when I might be in trouble?
I think I knew that always right away. But now utilizing them, I think it took me about a year post graduation for me to realize, I can't put myself in these situations. Before I was just too afraid to do it and it never got near me. But then now after life and being off supervision and people and just the world, you get put in weird situations sometimes. And I've said, nope, I don't even give myself the chance. And I just walk away from anything, whether it's people drinking too much or anything like that. I just am like, I don't want to do that because it doesn't make me feel good and it's not good for my mental health. And I think that's a big sign of growth that treatment court actually provided for me.
So now when you're saying you understand your trigger points, and when you see those activities happening, you just walk away from it
Pretty
rather
much.
than hanging out with that group and things like that. You're like, I'm done, walk
Yep, I
away
say
and do
that's
something
not
else.
for me. Yeah, I walk away pretty much. And as a waitress and a bartender, I see a lot of stuff. And
Right.
I just go, this is work, and I leave it at the door and I just do my job and that's it. And I feel like that's a big sign of strength that I can put myself in those situations and know my boundaries and my limits and say, we're done there, we're done. So
Yeah,
it's good.
it's did you use alcohol as a dependency ever? Or was
No,
it was do you feel you could have done your current job if the addiction was because of alcohol?
I think so. I do. I don't know. For me personally, I can't speak for others, but I
Right.
feel like it's a disassociation for me. Like I don't feel because I mean I did drink when I was using, of course,
Right.
So I think they do go hand in hand for me, but I just know I think I have a way to disassociate. It doesn't trigger me. It doesn't. I could easily have done my job either way. I think, but I think it's because
Okay.
I've always done it. It's just always been what I do.
Do you consume alcohol today?
Not really.
Okay, so you've sort of
Yeah.
cut that off, even though you are not really addicted to alcohol to begin with. Uh,
Yeah, it's like here and there, moderation, recreation,
sure,
but not really. Yeah, not too much.
got it, got it. So
Mhm.
that's pretty cool, right? That you're able to, uh, if I may call alcohol a substance, and many people are
Oh,
addicted to it, that
absolutely.
you're able to come through the addiction program, you come able to come through the treatment program, and yet you're able to moderate and know, okay, this is okay for me, and
Right.
I can do it and yet not get triggered on other points.
Right. Oh, I absolutely know my limits. I say, oh, one or two drinks at, the holiday or with family but
Right.
that's about it. Like I
Right.
don't push myself too far. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, I was speaking to Leila about the programs that she runs, and the walks and the runs and other extracurricular activities. What was your first impressions of trying to do that, and did that help you at all? And in what
Ye-
way?
Yeah, at the moment I thought it was silly when she would say, "We're gonna do this," and I'd say, "Okay," and I would show up because I felt like I had to, which I didn't. I didn't have to, but it felt that way, during my circumstances.
Right.
But then she would always put me in these positions where it would push my boundaries a little bit, and I would realize, oh, I can do these things. It's not weird to go on these walks or do these activities with a group, go floating, do all these things she organizes for us to give us a safe space as people in recovery where they could do things that people drink and do drugs do without feeling pressure or uncomfortable and making it feel like it's a normal thing. And I think that she's an amazing person. I really think so. And she really just, her whole heart's in it. And I think everything that she organizes seems real silly when you start because you're just trying to figure out who you are. But then after a while, you realize it's the best. So it makes everything better.
If you were put on a panel to hire a court coordinator, right, what
Right.
aspects of that would you say are the most important traits of being a court coordinator?
I would say just being kind and like understanding and like I said earlier, empathy is huge. Realizing that it's a process and that there's understanding that this person's going through so much more than you realize mentally and emotionally,
Hmm.
physically, and just being the emotional support. I mean, being able to do the paperwork and recruit and do everything
Right.
that this coordinator does is great. But the emotional support thing, being an actual human being, treating human beings, I think is so important for that job.
Doing those extracurricular activities, did you get to know your fellow participants a little bit more? Did that help in any way?
I think so to a point because there are certain people that were in the program with me at the time that I didn't like to associate with because of course we're all here for the same reason, right?
Right, right.
So I didn't, but there were a few people that I got to know in a different way
Uh-huh.
where I realized, oh, we are just normal people and we just all screwed up. It's not necessarily who we are. That the addicts are, like the addiction isn't who we are. And I made friends through that. I mean, the gal you just spoke with, I've known her from before, and then through the program, and now I get along with her just fine. And I'm happy to see her succeeding, and she's happy to see me succeeding, and it's all really good. And I think those events help for sure.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Kayla, for speaking with
Yeah,
us. I really appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.